A disappointing road loss. We didn't play very well, and you can't play the way we did, turn the ball over like we did, give up big plays, and expect that you're going to go on the road and take a win against a Big Ten team with their back up against the wall. So what we need to do is play better, coach better. It's my responsibility to make sure the team is ready to play. We had a great week of practice. We had great preparation, but it didn't translate into that game. So we've got to get our focus ready for Temple coming in here this week. Temple's got a very strong team. They've got some really good skilled players, both sides of the ball, and coming off two good wins against Maryland and Tulsa, and are playing with a lot of confidence. So we'll have our work cut out for us. I think that they're an outstanding football team. I think Jeff Collins does a really good job with them, schematically, both sides of the ball. And you know, I know that this is a place where tough kids play hard, play relentless, good athleticism, and you can see that on the tape. And so this is a tough game, tough opponent coming in here, and we've got to get our focus completely there, which we did. Yesterday we went out, we got done what we had to get done on the film, went out and practiced, and had a great practice yesterday, and great start and great preparation to correcting the issues that we had, and starting on Temple yesterday. So looking forward to getting back Tuesday morning, tomorrow morning, and getting started. Questions?
You kind of touched on it, but is it back to the drawing board, or do you just kind of take what you get in place and just try to fix what was there?
Yeah, there's no drawing, back to the drawing board. We didn't play well. You know, simple as that. And, you know, there were several players that played very well, to tell you the truth. But we didn't make the plays explosively that were there to be made, and we didn't make them on both sides of the ball. You know, and did some things like, you know, we're throwing some balls, getting tipped by the D-line that turned into interceptions. We had 4 interceptions, should have had 5. And on defense, you know, we stopped running to the ball in a play where we thought a guy was down, and he burst out of the thing and went 70. We had another play where we were offsides, and we intercepted the ball down to the 20. I mean, it was those kind of things that were taking place. Certainly we played physical. Both sides up front played very, very physical, very well. So we just got to clean some things up, and there was plenty of opportunities. Let's leave it like that, okay? So our inability to take advantage of them is my fault. So we've got to make sure that that doesn't happen again. Very, very confident in our guys, and very confident in what they can get done. So it's just a matter of making sure that we have a level of consistency with that, and that's something that is real important to get done. That consistency moving forward is there. But the ability is the ability, and the toughness is the toughness, and that hasn't changed a lick.
Coach, obviously in the beginning of the game you didn't have too many drives in the first quarter, or in the first half for that matter. Right. When you see things kind of going against it, you see some of the guys fighting it, how do you kind of adjust to that in game, and what are some of the things that you look for to try and get those wheels moving?
Well, I think something we probably could have done a better job is to help Anthony get started with a few more easy throws, you know, some sprint outs and some things like that just to get started. We really didn't have a lot of protection issues. I mean, that really wasn't the case. We need to, but sometimes, you know, you got to get started a little bit and get that momentum going. Probably, you know, we're hanging on the ball a little bit too much in there, and in the run game, I thought we had some good adjustments, but that's not reflective in the outcome of our run game. We averaged 2.7 yards a carry. That's ridiculous, and so we got to make sure that that's shored up. We got to make sure that we're back in practice and really working on taking advantage of what the defense gives us. Like I said, you know, there was guys that played pretty well up front, and you know, we need to capitalize on that. So that's where we were. We got to play better. That's my job. I'm responsible for that. We got to play better, and I'm most interested right now in getting us hitting on all cylinders like we were, and you know, which yesterday it was decidedly different demeanor, tempo, and everything else than yesterday, which is pretty good to see. There's some angry, ticked off, motivated people out there on that practice field yesterday, okay? Good players, like we have, they respond in the proper way. These guys are responding the proper way. You got an angry football team here right now. So I got to make sure I can make sure I keep that in check too, because this is an angry football team right now, and that's a good thing. It should be.
And with Temple, just what's jumped off the chart in the film first on how they play? What are they going to present to you on Saturday?
Yep. Well, I mean, first of all, start on offense. I think they've settled in on Russo as a quarterback. He's a talented guy. He's throwing the ball really well. They've got a good, solid offensive line. They've got real good running back. Armstead's a terrific running back. They put Isaiah Wright. He's an outstanding receiver. They put him as a wildcat quarterback. They get him to touch the ball, and they're smart to do that. You know, Isaiah's a really fast, powerful, you know, explosive player. They've got a couple tall receivers that they can get the ball down the field to. I mean, they can strike you. And so I think they're playing with a lot of confidence. On defense, I think their back end runs well. I think their linebackers run exceptionally well. I think up front, they've got a couple of interior defensive linemen that are very good players, and you know, they can really disrupt you up front. And schematically, I think they're very active schematically. I mean, you know, they're not afraid to come after you all the time, and so I mean, I think they've got good players, good speed, and I think their scheme is good. So I mean, it's about what you know, the phrase is coined at Temple Tough. I think this is a Temple Tough team that has speed and skill. So this is a tough game. This is a real tough game here, and we've got to play a whole lot better. We've got to play like we're capable of playing, and we got to do the things that we do, which we are not a penalized turnover team. That's what happened Saturday. That's got to go away. This is not a game where we can see that. You know, we've got to play a very consistent level of team. This will be a game where you're going to have to be patient offensively and get your opportunities as they come. Okay, and defensively, we got to keep field position. That's going to be critically important. And then, of course, on special teams, they've got a real knack for creating turnovers on special teams, creating plays on special teams. So we've got to be really, really sound in our kicking games.
It seemed like AJ was bouncing outside a little more than usual on Saturday. Was that by design, or was that just him reacting to a stacked box?
You know, I think great players are really anxious to make plays, and you know, I think, you know, AJ's a great player, and you know, he's you know, he wants to make big plays, and you know, so what we're focused and concentrating on is making sure that we get exactly what is there for us, and that's what we're going to do. And so you know, you never want to curb, you know, your players' innate instincts, but there are some structures of things that we got to make sure that, you know, we got to play within our structures, both sides of the ball. You know, we have talented players on both sides of the ball, okay? And we got a lot of guys that want to make plays, and that's a good thing. Now, we just got to make sure that we funnel those good players that want to make plays, and we got to funnel on both sides of the ball. We got to make sure that we're playing within the structure of the defense and of the offense. Because when you don't, then on defense, all of a sudden there are gaps given up, there are coverages, there are issues that pop open. And I love the fact that we have a kind of team that really wants to make plays. We just got to make sure that we're all in line with exactly what's there, and our guys are aligned on that. So it's something that's can be a blessing and a curse. And so this, you know, it's my job to make sure that we're playing right within the structure of everything.
I know you've kind of touched on this, but in the first half, there was an average of nearly 10 yards to go on third down. How would you kind of diagnose those early down struggles, and what can you do to improve on that next week?
Yeah, that's a good question, fair question. I'd say, you know, some of the things I just talked about. You know, we were not productive enough on first down. You know, in an effort, probably, you know, here's what happens. We're really predicated on getting the first down, you know, getting first downs and getting going. And I would say that sometimes in an effort to get started, sometimes you're trying to get the ball into the hands of the guys that, you know, you're trying to get going, and which is along the lines of saying we're going to put the ball in the hands of the best players, right? But, you know, in an effort to try to get that going sometimes, if that's not happening, then you get behind the chains. And, you know, we got behind the chains a little bit on Saturday. You know, I think we got to be cognizant. Sometimes I think we're going to have to shift gears a little bit from who we're trying to get going and keeping ourselves a little bit more with some diversity. But the problem with that is you also got to be careful that your best players are still touching the ball. And we felt good going into the game, and we felt good during the game that we had a lot of the right structures of things going on. So we just got to make sure that we got to do a little better job of making sure that we get done what we're trying to get done in there. Obviously very disappointed in that, but not confident in what this offense can do. We just got to get back on track and get back to where we were. And I'm quite confident that that'll happen. Now this week, against this defense and the style we're playing, you know, I think you got to be a little patient. You know, I just think that this is certain styles of defense you got to be a little patient with, you know, because, you know, when they're coming at you from all angles, you know, I think you just got to be patient and let those gaps open up when they're going to open up, and good things will happen. So I'm looking forward to a great week. I want to emphasize again, I love the look of the eye of our players. It's very appropriate of what it should be right now, okay? And now we got to make sure it stays there, and we roll into heaven the week that we're going to have. So.
Steve, week one, Temple only scored 17 points against Villanova. Mm-hmm. Since then, they've averaged about 32 points per game. Yeah. How dangerous is a team like that can just flip the switch and upset teams like Maryland and then beat Tulsa? Sure.
I mean, you know, it's college football, you know. I mean, it's kind of like what we just got done talking about, right? I'm guessing that it wasn't thought that we would have the first half or the game that we had a week ago, right? It's college football. You know, they've created some really good turnovers. They've created a lot of turnovers, and they've been very opportunistic. And to their credit, and I mean this, I mean, I think they're a tough football team, and I think they're just playing relentlessly and creating their opportunities. And, you know, I've watched all the games, and I think that I thought Villanova did a real nice job game one, but they, you know, Buffalo's a real strong team in the MAC right now, but I think that they learned from those two games, and I've seen great growth from Temple. So they came out real strong and jumped out real early on Maryland and kind of got momentum on their side in that Maryland game, and then they got into a real shootout with Tulsa and came out on the positive end of that, you know, with I think really optimistic, tough play. So, you know, going into game 5, you got 4 in the bank. You know, you're starting to shape your team.
What's Anthony's response? I mean, he got his nose bloody 2 days later. What's he doing? How's he feeling?
I mean, emotionally bloodied? Yeah. I mean, he's doing great. I mean, Anthony is a competitor. Anthony is a leader. Anthony, I'm not mean to speak for Anthony, but Anthony is very motivated right now. And I would tell you, he would fall in the pissed off category. Maybe that's not good language. Is that bad? Okay. He's ticked off. Okay. He's ticked off, as any competitor would be, all right? So he's, Anthony will be just fine. Anthony will be just fine. He's still a young player. We forget that, you know, and he's still growing and maturing and coming into his own. And he's got to make sure that, you know, he's not trying too hard. You know, just go back and take care of your business and handle the reads, which he has done absolutely beautifully. We got to get back to just taking what's there and going through your read progressions and be just fine. Threw some beautiful balls, and even in the game on Saturday, and so I'm not worried about that. He'll have a great week of practice this week. Quite confident on that.
Coach, the history with Temple being a Big East team and then, you know, having to go down independent MAC and work their way back up. You were obviously a part of that in your own way before you came here.
Yeah.
What do you remember about just coaching at Temple, moving from the MAC to the American, and just about, you know?
Well, I mean, I can tell you firsthand. I mean, you know, my relationship. My first year there. We went in there. We won the first bowl game in 30-something years, and Al Golden had done a tremendous job prior to that of resurrecting the program. I thought we went in and tried to take it to the next level and won, and then recruited that whole class of guys that went on to be. They're still playing in the NFL. Went on to have great success. We brought those guys all in, including the quarterback, and we felt really confident that that would be a really good football team. I mean, my first year. When we moved it from the MAC, you know, I had a real strong relationship with Nick Carparelli, who was the Associate Commissioner of Big East Football, and really worked hard behind the scenes to make that happen. In conjunction with that, we built a brand new facility, a football facility, which I was real proud of. You know, designed everything in there from the stitching on the chairs to the style of tables to every piece of that building. So we raised the money, built the building. Got into the Big East Conference and went into the Big East the tough thing was we had to go into the Big East Conference on a short notice in the spring, but it was the right thing to do. We were only able to play 11 games that season, and we started played like 7 or 8 freshmen. But it was fun and exciting, and great things happened. So I know that history and that transition. And that was a real important piece of history and transition that had to happen there, because there was going nowhere in the MAC and certainly going to go nowhere in independent. So we had to get back into a conference and get get that respect, and I thought we did that. And you know, like I said, we were playing at that time Louisville and Syracuse, and you know, most of the Big East that first year. And then as that thing came together. That recruiting, those guys got older and started maturing, and that coincided with, you know, the schedule. You know, the Big East then came undone, and then the formation of what was left of it it became the AAC, which I think became a better deal. So we're in a conference, you know, and then of course establishing new rivalries at that point. But I thought that was all real positive for Temple. And it all kind of came together with the facilities upgrading, and you know, and I think they've done a nice job and had a real good plan that we formulated there at that time. There were some great people involved. You know, George Moore, who was like senior VP, he passed away. He was just a fantastic guy who had a great understanding of football and the development of it. Lewis Katz, who unfortunately died here in that plane crash at you know, the airport up here, Hancock, Hanscom. And you know, Lewis, and I became real close with him. What a guy he was, and you know, he's a very successful business guy that really helped financially back a lot of things that had to happen there. And there was an energy, a synergy there that really helped catapult that program, and gave us a great opportunity to recruit and do some really fantastic things there. So. Real proud of that, and but I also have a really good, really good understanding of that program and where it is and who it's attractive to and the kind of players that they have, and you know, so I really respect what's being done. Matt came in and was able to take that thing and really do some great things and run with that. And then and now Jeff's come in here, and I don't know Jeff really. I know of him. He's a really fine, really good football coach, and he's doing a good job out there recruiting and keeping that thing going. So probably talking more about Temple than I care to, but I do have a vested interest there and do follow it. Of course, really, this is a different week, and so that's what I have to say about that.